You know, unfortunately, as people get older, they are more susceptible to be hit by fraud or scams or things that, you know, they're taken advantage of. A lot of our seniors especially. Well, we have today Kimberly Campbell, who is the State Director of Mississippi, or AARP Mississippi, and we're going to be talking about fraud today.
Yes.
And the Fraud Watch Network.
Yes.
From AARP. Welcome to the show.
Thank
As always,
you.
pleasure to have you.
Glad to be back.
Well, and this is true. Consumers, especially elderly consumers, are more apt to be a victim of fraud or scams than anyone else.
Absolutely. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And so what our AARP Fraud Watch Network does, it provides a one-stop resource place for you to get tools and tips and just advice on how to prevent and avoid scams. So it's all about prevention. That's what we work towards with our Fraud Watch Network work that we do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it is sad that, I mean, there are scammers that will steal billions of dollars from unsuspecting consumers every year. And again, it's more and more so from seniors, because, you know, a senior may walk into a bank and withdraw a large amount of money.
Absolutely.
And if you don't really, you know the senior that well, as we have spoken before on other shows, that I mean, in a little small town, you know, the bankers, they know. They know when so-and-so comes into the bank. They put their little bit of money in there, but if they come in on an odd day and say, I need a large amount of money, bam.
Bam, and they withdraw everything. And so that's one of the areas that we're working with our legislative session this year. That's some of the work that we're doing on the state level to provide financial institutions some protection and to give them the authority to halt transactions like that. When the bank really, they're suspicious for whatever reason, is to say, let me pause this until we can do some further investigation to see if this is a legitimate transaction, legitimate withdrawal, and to make sure that the person who may be impaired or may be, you know, of a certain age, to make sure that they're not being taken advantage of. We also are working with the public service commissioners to provide a legislation, a bill with them to where it would give them some protections to basically go after those that make some fraudulent, you know, claims and requests through some of the sites that they oversee. So that, you know, those are some of the advocacy stuff that we do. But more than that, we also have teletown halls, we have workshops, we have seminars. Also online, you can find our, you know, scam podcast that we do that gives you real life, reanimated things to let you know what really happens. And some of that stuff is so critical to people. For instance, especially now during tax time, the scams really light up. You know, they're calling you 24/7, and where our elderly really gets confused sometimes is that they will call and say, you owe, you know, this amount of money on your IRS, and I've notified the police. The police are on their way right now to your house. If you don't give me your credit card or your banking routing number and give me this amount of money, well, you know, if you're talking about somebody that may be 85 or 90, you know, that they're in a panic.
Scares them, yeah.
It scares them. And so they'll start giving you all this financial information, and bam, they have, you know, drained their accounts. And so we try to train people and tell people and give them resources to say, don't fall for that. First of all, the IRS is not operating.
They're not going to call you.
They're not going to call you.
They'll send you a letter.
They will send you a letter. Oh, they will send you a letter.
Yes,
but they
real quick.
Call you.
No.
And even with the letter, what I always tell people is just an extra level of protection. Even when you get it, what I want you to do is then go, well, you know, now nobody uses phone books. This demographic may still have phone books, but if not, if you look up stuff online, find the legitimate number to your local Social Security office or IRS office. Call that number and say, I've gotten this letter or what have you. I want, you know, to check to see if this is valid.
Legitimate.
Right, and they will do that for you. So even if you get the letter, I would still say don't fall for the numbers that are on it. Still look up the legitimate number yourself. Give them a call and have that checked out. Social Security is much the same way. They say, oh, you know, we're going to take your, first of all, no one can take your Social Security. That's not how that works. You know, or you've won lottery money. You know, that's the other thing. You've won.
Yeah, especially now that Mississippi has a lottery.
Yes, well, they do, but still. But the other thing about a lottery is that you don't have to pay anything to get it. Now, you may have to pay taxes on the back end, but you don't have to pay out, you know, I don't have to give you my account number for you to give me my winnings. You know, it doesn't work that way. And if they say it's a federal, you know, sweepstakes. That does not exist. There are no federal sweepstakes. There's no federal lottery.
No.
There's no federal money, no federal grant that's just going to be given to a random person. You know, you have to be an entity, some type of nonprofit. But, you know, these are just quickly some things that we want people to be aware of so that they're not susceptible to certain scams.
Right. Now, you have the Fraud Watch Network that does some great things for them.
Yes.
One of them is prevention.
Yes, yes, yes. That is very important because what that teaches you is just that it teaches you things to spot. It teaches you things to be more vigilant. It teaches you things to highlight and be wary of. And so you can find a lot of that stuff on our website. You can find a lot of that stuff on our national website. You can call our office. We have materials that we can send you. And if you're one of our members or volunteers, you will always get, you know, information on a pretty regular basis about the latest things about Fraud Watch.
Okay. And there are books that are available.
Yes.
Scam Me If You Can.
Now, you know, that's a fun one because everybody remembers the movie Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah,
well, you know, that was a real movie. That was a real story. And so Frank, the real person who Leonardo was portraying, is one of our AARP ambassadors on the national level.
Wow.
Yeah, and so he's, you know, you got to understand.
He knows his stuff.
He knows his stuff. Frank did a lot of stuff. And so what he does now, you know, of course, this is before our larger venues. He comes out and he speaks and he lets people know how he did some of the things he did and how you should be more vigilant about certain things.
Right.
And so, but that's also the book that he wrote as well. So that's a really good book to kind of teach you certain things.
We got about a minute and a half left. Let's talk about victim support real quick.
Yes, now that's really, really important because what we do with that is that comes from our office. We have trained our volunteers and staff, but really our volunteers really stand in the gap and do this work. And so when they're having the workshops or the seminars, they discuss this and then they discuss measures or people to call if you feel as though you've been a victim or if you feel as though your grandparent has been a victim. We have partners like the Attorney General's office that, you know, we will send information over to, you know, Public Service Commission. So it runs the gamut on what the scam is and who we need to contact.
Okay. And consumer advocacy?
Yes, that again is just more of the stuff that we do, whether it's with our national partners, whether it's with our local partners, or our business industry, like our banking institutions, some of the work that we're doing with them.
Okay. Now, again, we want to mention that there's a lot of information. Matter of fact, you have a website, aarp.org/Fraud Watch Network that you can go to, or you can call if you have think you've been scammed or someone's tried to scam you. You can call 877-908-3360. That's 877-908-3360. Or go to the AARP website that's on the bottom of your screen right there. As you said, Kimberly, you got all kinds of information on there and so forth. So we're going to come back in another day, Sue, because this is a series that we're actually doing. So coming up here in the next coming weeks, we're all going to talk about family caregiving. So anyway, Kimberly, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
50 or older, AARP, they can be your best friend.